Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Kornicki. Do you ever feel like there's just not enough time or energy to do all the things that you want to do in a day? So, especially as a doctor and in the field of medicine, we feel this sentiment. In this video, I want to share how I make time and energy for everything in my daily schedule and how you can adopt these similar tactics to achieve similar results, if not greater. So, the first thing to understand is your timeline during the day and your energy levels throughout the day. The idea is that we all have a 24-hour day, which can be used however we want to do it. But we also have times in our day, and that varies from person to person, where we have higher and lower energy levels. Some people are morning people, some people are evening people, owls, night owls, right? It's really important to have high efficiency instead of low efficiency during your day. And how to make that happen is, let's say you're a morning person, right? And you have the most energy at the beginning of the day, and by the end of the day, you have the least energy. The idea is if you want to achieve anything throughout your day, focus on making the high IQ, most difficult, mentally taxing tasks to have them done at the beginning of the day when you wake up. Because that's when you'll get them, when you have the most energy and you'll be able to be as effective as possible. So here's an example. If I am working, let's say I'm not a student anymore, if I'm working a 9 to 5 shift as a doctor, right? And I am, just as in my case, I'm a morning person. So I'll wake up and I can decide on that time. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I can decide on the time that I wake up. When I wake up, I know what time I need to get out of the house to get to work. We start at 9 a.m. But I usually start prepping some notes at 8:30. Then I usually have to be gone by 8 a.m. Right? So my work day technically starts at 8 a.m. All the time before 8 a.m. is the time I have to focus on things I need to do. So let's say I have, for example, an exam that's coming up, or a course I'm getting ready for, or just simply tasks that I need to get done throughout the week. So that morning chunk of time when I get up and I'm the most focused and in my element, really the most, is the time that I should be using to get stuff done. Especially in the context of exams, you'll learn the fastest, you'll retain the most, and it will make that exam process the most highly efficient way of studying in the first place. So this can work exactly in the same way for night owls. If you're not good in the morning, then you can just apply the same logic to being a night owl, okay, in the evening, which is not most people, but if it applies to you, then it does. It's just about that efficiency factor. So I consider myself a morning person because I definitely do have the highest energy levels throughout the day. When I'm just after getting up from sleep from the night, but it can be difficult to make that transition from sleep to being fully awake in the morning. Now, for me, I have my daily morning coffee. I use about half an hour with my coffee to wake up. So I'll wake up, let's say 6 or 6:30 a.m. I'll have my coffee about half an hour, right? So then I'll start 6:37 a.m. and then I'll have an hour, hour and a half of good, that much of a chunk of time in the morning to make sure that I can get done whatever I need to get done, and that at 8 a.m. I'm out the door, starting my day. So I think it's important to go back now to the fact that everyone's got 24 hours in the day, but we can stretch that 24 hours. Okay, we all, on average, we say we need 8 hours of sleep. But actually, and I've said in a previous video where I mentioned you should figure out your minimum optimal sleep number. Right? Let's just call it that. Your minimum optimal sleep number. For me, it's 6 hours minimum for me to be working optimally and effectively throughout the day. And while 8 hours would be great, actually sometimes unfortunately in the world of medicine that can be considered a luxury to get 8 hours just because it can be so busy. So I found my magical minimum optimum sleep number is 6 hours, and it's just the only way to figure out what that number is for you is to test yourself and wake up for a consecutive number of days, trying to go lower and lower and lower about how much sleep you need to be optimally functioning. And you won't really find out until after you do it. And you will know what that number is, really, because the coffee stops working at a certain point. And for me, if I get anything less than 6 hours, coffee just does not do it for me. It doesn't give me the same effects in the morning that it should for, my wake up, and then I'm good to go for the day. Um, Definitely coffee is not a substitute for sleep, but most people drink coffee to start up the systems, and that's quite a normal thing. But once you find out your minimum sleep number, anything less than that number, coffee will not help you get back on track. You will have to sleep those hours in order for coffee to actually work at all. So figure out that sleep number, focus on it. If you can stretch those hours in the day by figuring out by making your sleep as efficient as possible, in combination with your 24 hours in the day, then you can have an extra hour, even two, in the day to use. So ideally, if I could, let's say, wake up at 5 or 5:30 instead of 6:30, it's an additional hour to the day, but I would have to shift what time I go to bed in order to make that work. So it's something to think about. So the next thing that's very important to focus on is knowing how to say no to things. So when you have a designated task that you need to complete, it's important to know that that time that you've designated for that is specifically for that. If you start saying yes to other opportunities or tasks that need to be completed, that task will just keep getting put off on the back burner and it won't get completed. So focus on learning how to say no to new opportunities or to other tasks that need to get completed, unless those tasks, those other things do become a priority. Make sure that you know how, you can prioritize which one's the most important. If this is it, you make sure to say no to those things so you can focus on getting this done. And that's the thing after that. Make sure you have laser focus on that task until it is done. If you do it that way, you will get it done. You will get it done quickly, efficiently, and you will get the most success out of doing your task and the feelings of that success, and, well, obviously the effects of getting that task done, whatever it is. So if it's an exam, make sure that if the morning or the evening, whatever your choice is that block of time, you're using that block of time to study for it. Make sure you're saying no to other things. You're focusing, laser focus on that exam and getting it done. Once you're done, you obviously be quite happy that you've gotten it done. You're successful in your exam, and you never have to do it again. So the reason why I say do the hard things in the morning is because there's kind of a difference between what kind of tasks you need to get done throughout the day. Some of them are mentally taxing, some are physically taxing. The ones that are mentally tasking, you need to be doing when your brain's most optimally working, and again, that is on a person by person basis when it is, but you need to figure that time out for when it is for you, and make sure that you fit your schedule into that. But that's when things are mentally difficult. If it's physically demand, I shouldn't say that. If it's a physical task, like, let's say you're washing the dishes, let's say you're folding your clothes, or just doing something very monotonous physically, right? That is not mentally taxing, and you can do that when your energy levels are low. So for me, instead of doing something like washing the dishes, or clothing, or washing, or getting clothes folded in the morning, instead of doing that in the morning, I would do my studying in the morning, because that's when my brain's most optimal, right? And in the evening, do the things like I can watch some TV or focus on a podcast while washing dishes, or while folding clothes, so that these tasks, while they may not be the great thing or the best thing to do that I want to do, at least I'm doing them when I can be enjoying myself at the same time, and they're not, and I don't have, my brain does not have to be active with that task. So I think, for trying to figure out how to make time for everything, and knowing how to optimize your energy levels throughout the day, that that's all good. But I think, regardless of the person you are, I think when you get up in the morning, it's important to have a small, or even a few small wins in the morning. And what I mean by that is completing a few simple tasks that starts giving you momentum throughout the day. When we succeed in a task, that gives a certain feeling of confidence and happiness about completion of set task, even if it's small. Especially if we do a few in the morning, it really sets the tone for the day, that lets us to continue having similar, if not more, success. And this is especially true just because, in general, when we try to start a new task instead of continuing one, it generally takes much more energy to start something brand new than to continue that task as well. So if we get a few wins in the morning and then we continue with it out a day, we're going to get more wins as we go, right? But that logic also goes with, let's say we haven't started studying for that exam because, oh, we're nervous for it, it's stressing us out, but we keep putting it off. Actually, I would say in that case, just start. Just start. Don't think about the initial consequences. Just start and get going, because the faster you can begin, the easier it is to keep going with that task. And I think that logic applies to everything else in our lives as well. I find it much easier to work longer hours or to be doing something for a long time, and let's just say that really kind of vaguely to really anything, if I've already just started and I end up keep continuing the task until I get it done, and then I'm like, all right, it's already done. Well, that was easy. Because a lot of the difficulty is in the anticipation of the task and not the actual task itself. So if you liked this content and you want me to see more, please leave a like, subscribe please, and let me know what your thoughts are. Leave a comment, and I'll see you on the next one.